Welcome to The Front Garden, brought to you by Coolabah Turf. Visit Victoria's premium instant turf supplier at coolturf.com.au.
And welcome to the Front Garden podcast, brought to you by Coolabah Turf. My name's Adam Hompas, your host, and today we have Mark Slefendorfas, Director of the Brocor Group, a Victorian commercial landscaping company based in Langwarrin. Good morning and hello, Mark. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Adam. Thanks for having us on.
Absolute pleasure. So we'd love to have a discussion about how Brocor started.
I'll start with the journey of landscaping. It was something that I was interested in probably as a 16, 17-year-old kid for some reason. Didn't want to sort of finish school, held in and finished school, but the external, being outside, machines, equipment, creative side of me got me into the industry. So my journey back then I went to university after school, but I still had an interest in landscaping massively. So dropped out of uni after about a month and went, I need to get outside. I need to get dirty.
Was it a completely different industry? Was it internal?
It was business management. Yeah. So it's actually led to what I'm doing now.
Running a business.
Running a business. Cool. So, started there. Started as an apprentice, built from there over time. A lot of responsibility by about 23, being a team leader, running some significant commercial projects. Yeah. And then went into partnership with another business for 5 years. So I learned a lot from 25 to 30. So at 25, I was all in. Let's go. Learned a lot in those 5 years. And then through those contacts I had, went into Brocor, started Brocor, vowing it was going to be me, one guy, one machine, and see what we do.
The way we always start.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you want a labourer? Nah.
I'll do it myself. I'll get someone else helping me. So, that's where we started. So we're, 13, 14 years in now. Wow. Give or take.
So you started off in commercial construction, is that right?
Yeah, started off in commercial, so bigger projects. We're talking, Melbourne Sports and Aquatic Centre, large scale stuff. So, but also some high-end domestic, some high-quality commercial. I got exposed to a fair bit. But volume didn't scare me because of my apprenticeship. So, but I still had some space to be creative and do some high-quality commercial projects. Yeah. So, I love everything about it.
And as Brocor still, you do commercial landscaping and maintenance?
Yeah. So Brocor at the moment, two sort of sections within the business, commercial landscaping being projects and some D&C in there. And that's all in aged care, education.
D&C, design and construct.
Yeah, a little bit in there. And education, big in those sectors. And then maintenance fed off that. And we've started that. So now it's about 40% maintenance, 60% construction, and it's building.
And you have the design in there as well a bit?
Yeah, we do. We partner with a few different architects, or they'll give us a hand when that comes on board, and we work through that with them, and then try and give our clients what we need, or the designs are done.
Do you find that's a good selling point for you guys, that you got design, construct, maintain?
It is. The parts of the business feed into each other, especially the construction and maintenance, and the design is something we just put on, as an added extra when we need to. Yeah. It's all project specific.
That's really good. Like I started out in commercial, and I remember the differences between like commercial and residential, which we can happily get into. But also the thing, what I like about you doing the maintenance is that, does it also help you guys establish problems on site? So if a maintenance team might come and go, there's a bit of cracking happening here in the paving.
Everything. It feeds back. So we can have maintenance contracts that are X value, and that might be to multiply by 2 on the works we've got to do on top of that. So from a commercial perspective and the business perspective, it's good. It feeds back to the other side of projects and works within that. So, yeah.
And it's much better for your own team to come to you and say, hey, Mark, there's a bit of an issue here, rather than the client going, this is
proactive approach. Yeah. And we'll touch on some other ways we do that around reporting and whatnot, but that feeds the trust and partnership between the clients and us. We want partnerships. We don't want to be just working for someone. So it's
So you said just before about obviously the community about tracking it. Is that right? About track. So how do you do that? What systems and strategies do you have for that?
So we've got software where our team leaders and our guys on the ground have to do daily reports on what they've completed, where the projects are at, once you get to a size where you can't be on 25, 30 sites in a day, you need to have that transparency back to us. So anyone that rings me, I can have a conversation with them because I've got the information in front of me.
Do you mind sharing what program you use?
Well, we use Crew Tracker at the moment, and I think we're probably outgrowing it, to be honest. So we're currently going through the process of finding new software.
That's the reason why I'm asking what is it, because a lot of listeners, that's such a huge thing. People say, what are you using? What are you using? And there's lots out there.
Yeah, there's lots out there. Crew Tracker's been great. Yeah. But we're at a point where we'll continue.
Bigger.
Yeah.
How much staff have you got?
We're running, I lose track. We're running around that 45 to 50 at the moment. So, and that's, we've got some subcontractors on top of that. So there's probably 50 people live every day.
And you guys, so you utilise a lot of subcontractors as well for your projects?
I reckon they're probably 8 to 9%. Honestly, we deliver as much as we can in-house.
Yeah.
I can't control quality. I can't control me saying we're going to be there if I'm using subbies all the time. Yes, we've got partners, but I'm big on training our own guys, getting them as good as they can be
and I think that would
fly the brand.
Yeah, and it would keep your staff engaged too, because they're not just there sort of doing the monotonous work for setting up for subbies. They're actually doing the cream on top.
But they get some ownership of it too, and it's taken years to get the balance will never be right, but we're committed to that, and it's part of our, a couple of our principles that we sort of run through in the business. So, yeah.
You guys are registered builders, obviously, too. Yeah. So is that limited landscape?
Yeah, so we've got limited landscape, so that helps us out. But again, we use that for a percentage of our work, and we still sit under commercial builders and guys that do that big stuff, and we just sit underneath them as well.
I think a lot of listeners also would probably be interested in the building license. So can you have a bit of a chat about how the process was and how you got it? Yeah,
so pretty straightforward. You go in, show your credentials, show that you've done the work, and then they push you through. We've done it over time. We've done some other qualifications around building Cert 4s and stuff like that too, to give us some additional credentials there. So it's been a journey. We do a percentage of that work with where it's held under us, but a lot of the bigger stuff is obviously held by the big builders and stuff. So
yeah, I think the whole building licensing, it has streamlined a little bit more. When I got mine in 2017, obviously I had a folder this big in a tub, dragging it into wherever it was. And I spoke to a gentleman the other day, and he said that he did it all online pretty much. So I was like, all right.
So, but it's all for us. It's about getting our staff to own projects. And we're big on teams and people. That's my passion about the whole business.
So speaking of teams and people, building a good team culture, is that something you guys are pretty big on, and how would you go about doing that?
Yes. Never ask anyone to do anything you wouldn't do. If you're going to ask someone to do something you wouldn't do, well, I think you've got a problem. But it's all about transparency, talking, communicating, positive energy, giving people goals and some ownership of stuff. I think that's the biggest thing we can do. We can sometimes pull back on information we give people to potentially aid them, but I think if we can get ownership within our people, that's amazing. Your transparency around where jobs are at, what maybe margins are at, where they're achieving, where they're not failing, where they can improve, and just having that constant communication and giving them the belief they can.
And what about things like, do you guys do sort of lunches and barbecues, things like that, to kind of get everyone together and have a chat?
Lunches, barbecues, our team leaders have got budgets each month to spend on their team. So there might be $150. But if they've had a big week or they've poured concrete and they're there till 5 or 6, if they're, go and get them KFC. Do those things so they get the ownership of their team. When it was a small team and only mine, I could do that.
When you thought you were never going to grow besides yourself.
I was never going to grow. And now look, but doing that, and it's all about attitude. I love people with the right attitude. We can upskill anyone, but if you've got someone with the willingness and the right attitude, skill will come. We can train them in that. So I love it.
Someone will come to you and sort of explain what they want to do more with this. You'll help them, guide them through.
Correct. So part of our one thing we've implemented in the last 18 months is an apprentice mentor within the business. So Matt's been with us. He's an OG. He's been there since we nearly started. He has his time allocated every week to go around and help apprentices with additional training. So if they're lacking in concrete, I get in contact with him and go, look, we're concreting this week. I'd need some additional help. Sometimes in that busy space of delivering projects, apprentices can lose that training that they might need. So Matt goes around, spends time with them, is there on the float with them, giving them the ins and outs of why we do it. And it's been amazing. He's been in there 2 or 3 years now doing that. And he came to me asking for that role. And I said, yes, let's do it.
So full time?
Yeah, full time. So he's still on the tools, but he's there with the guys. His job is to upskill them and train them and give them the knowledge. And we're finding they're coming out of their apprenticeships ready to run projects or ready to deliver and doing the job right. We found there was in growing the business and being busy, apprentices were not probably being at the level we'd like.
Yeah.
But rather than saying that's their problem, that's an internal problem that we've got to fix and address and be better at. So,
well, and it's an investment of your behalf too, isn't it?
We've got apprentices now running projects. Couldn't be happier. You know, you got guys at 22, 23 running a project for you.
Obviously being slightly overlooked by yourselves and the
Correct.
senior
project management and other team leaders. And then that's where Matt comes in. It's like he's running his first job. Mate, we'll sit beside him, but let him make the decisions and guide him. But people can achieve a lot if you give them the right environment.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good attitude to have. So with these projects that you guys have got going on at the moment, how many projects do you like to have at one time?
On the maintenance side, we'll run about 60 sites that we're looking after. And
like rolling
contracts or, bits and pieces. So I think we're seeing about 60 at the moment. Projects, we run about 5 at a time, but that can be 3 large, 5, 6 smalls. We accelerate in school holidays because we've got a big education portfolio. So you've got to be fluid with it as much as we want to be. When you ask that question, go, this is what we do.
So doing the schools, obviously, you'd have them all saying, we got 2 weeks coming up. We need you to get in there and get it done.
10th of school period, 2 weeks before school holiday, school holiday starts or Christmas. We've got every single day allocated till the 28th of January to the day, to the staff member, to everything.
Few adjustments here and there daily with the schedule.
And then it rains for a week and we go, what's going on here? But no, it's good. And that comes down to planning and teaching our guys to plan better. And we're big on looking internal when things don't go right. If we can do it better, we want to internally grow and grow my team and grow everyone around us by reviewing it internally rather than pushing back and saying that it's the client's fault or it's, we can always look to blame someone else. I think coming internal's a way to look at it. So internally,
how do you find, how many staff have you got in your office, let's say, and like how do you categorize it? So obviously you've got marketing, you got OH&S, project managers. How do you set it up? How's it structured?
As we grew, it was Mark wore 48 hats, but he can't do that anymore. So, but started to surround myself with people in the right area. So our current structure is we've got a head of maintenance, we've got a head of construction. So under maintenance, he's got an operations manager, and then he's got his teams underneath. So that's how they're structured. Construction's got a head of construction and a senior project manager, and then they've got team leaders underneath. We've then got support for marketing and admin. I've got Tamika doing that, and she's in the studio
taking photos
of me. But then we've got Kelly and Linda. So we've got 2 in finance. Then we've got an OH&S compliance. So the biggest thing we find is compliance is massive. So to get on with some of these larger companies and the higher tiered companies, our compliance has to be Mickey Mouse. So we've got someone doing that. It's probably 30 hours a week, just making sure all our tickets are right, all our OH&S, our inductions are done. That aspect of the business, which I never thought would be there, is huge.
So I guess that's the difference with commercial and residential is your clients will say, this is what you have to have before you can jump on site. So when you say you got someone taking care of all the OH&S and things, like what exactly is it? Obviously, OH likes the swims, making sure they're ticketed for the machines.
Yeah. So tickets, swims when they expire. So swims for every project that they're signed on to, that we are following our swims, then that all our swims and plant and equipment inductions are going to builders before we get there, so we don't lose time. We've got risk assessments every 12 months on our kit. It can take us 4 weeks to get onto a portal for a large tier 1 provider for us to be okay to go and do a job.
Oh, but because you got so many bodies working around the site, that's why I think it gets a lot. And I remember it from commercial. There's a lot of like, why are we doing this or this? Like, when you were talking about the OH&S, we review ours every like 8 weeks because that's all we need to do. I've got a team of 6. But when you've got 600 maybe peep trades on site, it's got to be site specific and everything, doesn't it? So,
site specific. But it is what it is. We've got to, I mean, today tick a box, but we're going to keep everyone safe. But it's a far cry from where it used to be when we started. And I used to be throwing the machine around for fun.
In terms of machinery, do you guys own your own or do you subby out?
A lot of it we own. So we run Hitachi. We've got 5 Hitachi excavators, a couple of posies and mowers and trailers and trucks.
So with the posi, who isn't too sure, do you want to explain about what the posi track is?
Posi track is essentially a bobcat on tracks. So all seasons works a little bit better in the wet.
Yeah.
We just find it lighter on the foot when we're not putting big trenches in projects. So, and we've got from a Toro all the way up to a 6.5 ton big motor. So
yeah, right.
We've got a
you must have a big storage space.
We've got a little bit going on. Yes, we've got 10 acres down in Somerville and that's where we run everything and run everyone out of. So, yeah, there's a fair bit going on. It
definitely sounds like it.
When I reflect now, I go, oh, what am I doing? But no, we still love it and it's still good for the people. So,
what are you doing from when you thought you were just going to be just yourself on site?
Oh, I know. And it's just opportunity that comes, I guess. And you've got to be ready to move with where you're organically growing and where the market wants to take you as well. And with opportunities, like you've got to be smart about it, but you've also got to, I'm big on if a door's open, walk through it and see what's there.
So when you say what the market's doing, so give us an example, please, of what's happening at the moment. Like schools or...
Schools. So, I mean, we're finding the market is getting tighter in terms of some investment in aged care.
Yeah.
We're seeing that. It's just the way it is at the moment. So we've seen a slight decline in that. There's more people going for those types of projects. So we've got, we're fighting for them a little bit more. But
so you're fighting more for the aged care side of things. Yeah,
but we've got to have that point of difference, and reporting and the way we approach our clients needs to be comprehensive. You know what it's like when times are not tough but more challenging. You've got to be smart about it.
Yeah.
But it's maintenance wasn't anything we wanted to get into. We were doing work on schools, and we had a client come to us and say, "What about maintenance?" So we started.
How do you find the maintenance division goes rolling over in terms of your finance and turnover? Does it help keep things going?
It's stable. Yeah, it's stable. It's there all the time, and we can build on it.
Yeah.
Where projects, you do a project and you're back to, back to the beginning. Where maintenance, it's a longer term build, so we can stack.
How long are the contracts usually for maintenance?
1 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Or ad hoc, like once a month on time visit.
Yeah,
that can be up to 5 years. So for us, that's good. We can forecast out for 5 years and build on that. It's a good side of the business. So
with some of your current projects that you got going on, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're finding? Is it sort of excavation? Is it dealing with all the red tape of OH&S stuff, or is it sort of dealing with subbies?
I think not a challenge, but making sure in the early learning sector, obviously we've got playground audits and auditing of the stuff we're putting in. With a lot of natural product going in now, you've got to work through that with the architect and with the, any certification that's going to come with it. So,
I'm assuming, obviously, when you talk about that, you mean if there's sort of volcanic or some sort of rocks going in, they've got to have the edges ground off. The things have to be sort of
finger entrapments, hand entrapments, foot entrapments. So there's guides around what gaps we can have between rocks and whether they're going to be filled with mortar and fall zones or the heights of things without a soft fall product underneath that's certified.
Yeah.
So that's just through time in the game that we've developed that knowledge. So a lot of the time we get our own independent audit of what, the project we've delivered so that we're covered.
Quoting up those type of projects, you need to factor that in too, because I'm assuming at the start maybe you might have underestimated it. Well, I probably would. I'd go, and then they've got to come back or redo this, redo that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's just through knowledge, quoting for allowing for those things. It's samples. It's, mudstone. We had an issue for the last 6 months trying to get mudstone that's, not flaky and not, fracturing to go in some of these playgrounds, so we've had to change some of the rocks to, make it more readily available. So it's it's moving with the times. Plenty of natural product, plenty of logs, splinters, using natural bush poles, that type of stuff's very in at the moment. We're seeing a lot of it. But then the same, we go and do level 2 podiums where we've got to put drainage cell down and rubber surfacing and synthetic grass. And, our guys understand what drainage needs to be done on those levels and fall heights on rubber surfaces around playgrounds. And
So when you say level 2 podiums, obviously a playground with height, they're going to have the soft fall and something underneath. So if
well, it'll be on like level 2 of a building. So we're constructing it on a concrete platform, and we've got to create a play space up there with plants and with
not ideal for a kid to fall on concrete. Is it?
Correct. So we've got to then look at drainage. We've got to look at the way that's constructed and how we get the water off the podium. Obviously drains and stuff, but to make sure all our surface treatments are permeable to get the water through, so that the water gets away. And then planter boxes and the weights that we can have in sand pits, for example. Those slabs are only engineered to a certain weight, so we've got to
figure out how much it's going to weigh.
Make sure work with the engineers, make sure that we are ticking the boxes. It's not going to retain water.
So on the water side of things, so I think that's the biggest, chill landscapers and builders would face. How do you manage the water to get the water away on those level 2 type of things? So, for example, obviously your tanking, your waterproofing, drainage cell, is it engineered? Is it designed that you have to go through?
So it's all engineered, and then we work with the engineers to, obviously deliver it. So the drainage cell's there, so it's got a free draining surface underneath rubber or synthetic grass. And then it's just making sure all our boxes that we construct are free draining material in them. They're pushing through. Same with sand pits and that. We just make sure the drainage is adequate, and we tick all the boxes. So
I'm assuming that's the last thing you want to get is a call say, we're dripping from level 2
I
roof.
don't need that. Absolutely don't need that.
Oh, no, I don't think anyone does. It definitely doesn't. So have you got any of those happening at the moment? Any of your level 2 things?
We've got one out in Glenroy. The boys are well into that. So that's a level, ground level and level 1 out there. So the boys are madly delivering that. We've got some other podium works in Glenora at the moment. Well, the boys are putting some grass on pod and pavers and some big planter boxes for a commercial project.
Yeah.
All custom-made stuff. So, we've got some other early learning centres coming up with that sort of thing, but it's we've been exposed to it more and more.
So when you say pod on pavers, that's obviously your pods that's the pavers sit on, if it's on your concrete substructure or on a so it's an easy. How do you find working with that type of system?
Not too bad. It can be problematic in terms of rocking around and stuff, but the system's in place now. I can't recall what we're using out there, but where we're going to put synthetic grass on the top of it. So we use a pod and paver system to create a substrate. And then we put synthetic grass over the top.
So you've got your pod system, you put your pavers and the synthetic on top. How do you find working with the joins and things? Or does it kind of lock it together?
It locks it together. The system we've got, I can't recall at the moment, but it locks it all in. So it ends up being a flat surface. So it might not be a paver, but it'll be a plastic product that ends up being as a locked in grid. And then we put the synthetic over the top.
It's probably going to become more common, do you think, doing the pods, especially with the type of houses and with limited outdoor space? People have more balconies. So the pod system obviously can work well as long as they've got the drainage.
We've seen an increase in the commercial sector, an increase on pod and paving.
Really?
Exponential. It is there.
Is that because of sort of just new technologies and to save back on labour?
So if they have a problem, they replace the paver. If that's all watered down.
How do you guys go with, you've got to be careful what type of stone then is selected for the pod. You can't use a really thin travertine or something.
Absolutely. So we work with different suppliers and again, the client or the architects and make sure that's right. Because we've had projects in the past where it's been specified too thin. And we end up with cracking, over time. So.
And that's why I'm trying to delve into it a bit, because I have heard recently that a lot of people are trying to do that. And I have heard problems of people saying that the pavers are cracking because they use a limestone, even though it's like 30 mil thick, it's still, you can get those joins.
Correct.
And some tricks that people are doing is also putting cement sheet to the back of thin tiles. If clients really want that. Personally, I wouldn't do it, but.
Well, we use that a little bit on some of our podiums. So if we've got sensory paths for early learning centres where we've only got 2 or 3 square metres with different types of paving, we'd put a cement sheet back on it. Just so that, because that is a rigid substrate when it's grouted, but the water's going to fall off it and go into the drainage cell. But we'll put that on top of the cell and lay on that just to create the rigidity, and then we don't lose mortar and grout and whatnot in between.
Yeah. So with the so you're saying with the sensory playground, is it, or the early learning center? So what does that involve? Is it?
So sensory paths, or the sensory things, are different types of paving, different types of both visual and tactile things that the kids can experiment with and play with. You know, we've got to make it look commercially nice for us as adults, but for kids, it's got to be tactile. We've got to have different surface treatments, colours, shapes, designs within a sensory path to keep them engaged. So it's not just a big flat green bit of grass.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. I think we can create some pretty wicked places for kids to play and let them escape the world and be creative.
That's part of the reward of why you're doing this, I'm assuming, too, is when it gets handed over and the playground inspector ticks it off.
Yeah, absolutely. And the kids are into it and they love it. And we've got some clients that we're going back now 10 years and redoing their play spaces.
Yeah.
It's had its life cycle. Let's go. Let's do it again.
Yep.
Let's change it up.
Absolutely.
So it's good. We're starting to get that evolution of where we're going back again to start stuff. So yeah, awesome. It's an exciting space. Yeah.
G'day, Jason Hodges here. Like me, you know that life happens on lawn, and my mates at Strathair Instant Lawn have been producing world-class grass for over 50 years. Whether you need a play space for the kids, a barbie area for your mates, or an outdoors spot for the pooch, Strathair offer a lawn for every yard or project. From the hardy Tiff Tough Hybrid Bermuda to the greener in winter fescue. Call Strathair for a free quote today or go online to strathair.com.au.
The learning sector.
I saw something on your website saying you're CM3 certified.
Yes. So that goes back to OH&S.
Yeah.
So we've had an external auditor, for want of a better word, come in and just validate our OH&S system and what we do. And it helps for some of those tier 1 or tier 2 commercial maintenance contracts, or it gives clients peace of mind.
Is that like ISO accreditation?
Yeah, it's not ISO. It's similar to that. It's not as extensive as that, but it just covers off our OH&S, and then we've just got to make sure we do it annually, so it's an internal check for us as well.
So for any potential landscapers out there wanting to get into the commercial sector, this is something that they'll have to have, isn't it?
It's coming in more and more,
okay,
but it helps. You don't have to have it. We've got our own OH&S system that's been built externally by a certified OH&S risk assessment and OH&S contractor, for want of a better word. They've built a whole system for us around policies, and it's scary. From domestic back to where we are now, the amount of policies we've got is significant, but again, we have to play
you need
in the area we want to play with. So
exactly,
that's the way it rolls. It's an important side, but it's not the shiny side of why you do it.
It's just what no one really sees, but what keeps everyone safe too.
Absolutely,
so.
It keeps everyone safe. So it's really good for our teams. But and our guys have learnt a lot since coming from when we started on what we have to do for OH&S, and it's a good thing to have within the business, and an important thing, because we can't be everywhere with 45 staff on the ground.
No,
there's no two ways about it. So
exactly.
I'd love to be, but I can't be.
It'd be hard.
There's only one of me.
With your projects that you've got, we've spoken a bit about drainage and obviously some the playground space. What about the softscape, things like plants and stuff like that? So what type of vegetation are you seeing in the commercial space that's coming through?
A lot of native. Yeah. Native. They're pushing it. Part of getting a lot of these developments through town planning and whatnot. A lot of native planning. So that's big. That's going to continue to grow. The kids' play spaces, we can get some really interesting planning and different types of trees and stuff in there. So, and that's always a juggling act and a balancing act between getting that right. But it depends on the grow season as to what we can get, when we can get it. You know, we've got to be flexible with our clients as well, because we're using such volume. Yeah. You can't go to someone and say, "We got 3,000 of these."
Do you guys do contract growing?
We do a little bit, yeah. So we partner with another company, and we do that. So the contract growing is there for us to take to clients, but we also partner with them to deliver or to have on stock a lot of plants for us for our maintenance contracts, so that we can replenish them as we need. So a really strong relationship there. It's nice.
Anything interesting coming up on the horizon? Some really cool projects that you're looking forward to doing?
Anything cool coming up on the horizon? Great question. I think developing Brocor, more broader scope of works is a big thing for us. We do our own concrete in-house, asphalting, carpentry. It's building that.
Oh, so you guys do your asphalting and things too?
Yeah,
right.
So we'll do our small asphalting repairs and stuff in the house, which is really good. So it's taking it from what I see as a landscape company, which we've been forever, is having another arm to the business. It's a little bit more bulletproof to any impacts on the way the economy's going. It just gives us another bow to it. In a lot of our schools and public schools, they've got concrete repair works rather than something, we go in and do it. So we've got our own concreting crews and stuff like that. They do our landscape concreting, our good projects, but then they also go into the little stuff. So it just broadens our ability to be secure as a business long term rather than having to chase projects all the time. It gives us some stabilisation through it. So that's a little project I'm working on at the moment. Yeah,
so very nice.
It's
always good to branch out a bit.
Yeah, absolutely, branch out a bit. But there's there's plenty of VSBA projects coming along, so there's plenty of interest in them. So there's a lot happening there. VSBA will be really strong for us in the next 12 months.
What type of clients do you prefer to work? So, for example, do you like doing the schools? Do you like doing the...
Love doing the schools. Yeah, love doing the schools because we have an impact on early learning centres because we deliver something that looks beautiful, magic, and the kids can enjoy it. And we can do some high-end stuff at some really quality schools that, we can deliver them something and they care about it and value it. So the closer we can get to the client, the better for us because we can be involved with them in what we create and then they have an ownership and love of it. That's what interests me at the end of the day. And then seeing our 23-year-old apprentices deliver projects and do things they never thought they could do when they walk in the door.
They probably don't even think that they could have done that.
No, they don't. And we talk about all the industry and that, but if I can get people to do more than they thought before they came in the door, my job's done as a boss. And I love that side of it. It's, people are amazing if you give them the opportunity. And I've got a team of 6 in the office, like I said before, but I've surrounded myself with people that are positive, got the right energy, want to deliver, run it like it's their own without me having to ask. It's an amazing space and it gives people some ownership within the business and people some feel like they want to be there and love for it. So it makes my life easier.
Do you still really like to get out there on the ground and go around and see how everyone's going?
Love to get around. Wish I could do it more, but I've got to get that. That's probably a target for me in the next 12 months is to get myself in more of a position to be out there. 12 months from now, I want to probably be spending a day, a fortnight on one of the machines out with the boys.
I thought you were going to say on an island somewhere drinking cocktails.
I wish, but I want to get, and I spoke to someone probably 6 weeks ago and we had a good chat about it and it was just through a passing comment. And he goes, do you still get out there? And I went, no, but I love it. So that's a goal for me in 12 months, which I am. Yeah. I'm like, go out once a fortnight with the boys on the machines, whatever, doing what we do, pour a concrete slab with them, just
run barrows, do whatever you need to do.
Care less. Just clear my head for a day, go and do that, simplify life.
And that's one of the things that we go from being landscapers who got into this industry for being outside on the ground to then stuck in behind the computer. And I do the same thing. I've had enough. I'll go help the guys. I'll just run barrows for them.
How good is that? Like, you can't.
Just to get out to break it.
That's the roots of what we do.
Do you think people need to do more of that? As in people in our industry that want to be out there, do you think it's good for their mental health to obviously do your bookwork, but get out and sort of move?
Yeah. Reflecting on me, as I sit here now, being off the tools for 18 years, something like that. Yes. Yeah. But you've got to have structure outside of work. I'm big on that. You've got to have your support network right at home. You've got to have the biggest attribute I say to my success or whatever you perceive success is having the structure at home and having support at home and your friends around you that support you, whether you can tell them if it's a good day or a bad day. I'm big on that. And they're there to back you in regardless.
I think that's the biggest thing is making sure that you're vocal about it too, that people actually say it.
Yeah.
Like to say, I've had a crappy week.
And be honest about it. And you can even say it to clients, but in a way that builds rapport. Like,
you can't go, I can't do this. I'm not focusing on your job. I get it.
You've got to be able to have that. And I think whether I'm talking to you or the CEO of some aged care provider or one of my guys doing the mowing or who cares? Still have that relatable side. And you've got to say, if they say, how's your day? And it's shit. I've had better days, but I'm not going to whinge to you. But how's your day going? Like, you've just got to and put some structures in around making sure you are getting to the gym or being healthy and watching what you're eating. You've got to have that balance, and it's taken me a long time. Like when we were growing really hard early on, your focus is on the business. Bang, bang, bang.
And it gets lost. Your self-care gets lost. You feel,
but you lose yourself. Yeah. You're like, I am Brocor, but it's like there's more to that. And as you get a bit older, you go, hey, there's more to it about family and whatnot. Yes, you've got to have that passion. And someone said to me the other day, are you obsessed with Brocor? And I go, no, it's just something I'm passionate about and want to have a crack.
Yeah.
If you think that's obsessed, fine. But it's my baby. And I'm not. I got to a point probably 6 years ago when I'm not going to apologise that Brocor's my baby and I'm passionate about it, and I'll have some belief around it, and I'll ride every punch from the company back to me. But having that support network is massive on having an amazing partner at home that, whether it all falls over tomorrow, I should be happy to live in a caravan, is wicked. Yeah. I'll tell you that. I couldn't, without that, you're done.
There we go. Done.
Without that, it's, yeah.
But you're spot on, and it's the whole thing of, back in the day of you just suck it up and do it. That is absolutely out the window, and in my opinion, 100% for it, because otherwise everything's going to suffer.
Yep. Absolutely. So it's the more you can get real connections with people, and you will develop relationships with people that are other directors of businesses, or, and you've got to have those people that I can say, hey, this happened today. And they go, I get it. Where if I said it to someone else, they'd go, that's not a real problem.
Yeah.
You've got to find those people that have that relatability with you, where you can not whinge, but you can go.
You can vent, and they're going to listen.
Vent and go, this is this because of this. And they're like, yeah, get it. Totally. All right, let's go. On your bike, let's keep going.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've got a really nice culture and a good thing set up at Brocor, and you're very passionate about it, which is awesome. Before we wrap it up, I wanted to ask you, at a company of your size and the things that you're doing, any new trends, any new technologies that you're seeing come in or you'd like to venture into?
Yeah, in terms of technologies, we keep developing irrigation and whatever, Hunter, we're big on that. We keep developing that. And using them. There's some technology coming around where the solenoids don't need wires. They can be connecting back to the controller. We're going to start to explore that in the next 12 months because everything's remotely monitored for all our schools and stuff from our office on water usage, when it's on, when it's off, because we can't be at, 15 ovals watching what's going on.
That's pretty cool. So that's the HydroWise system, is that right? So you can monitor what's happening in the ground with your sensors of the irrigation system.
Flow rates, everything. And then it also seasonally adjusts. If it's going to rain, it might back the water off the night before. Then the next day, so it reads all that. So we're big on that.
I think that's huge at the moment, especially because everyone's got a phone and everyone wants the ease of going, oh, yep, I want to switch this
change
off,
that,
change this.
And adapt that. So that's been really good for us, and it's going to continue to grow. So in terms of life cycle of some wiring and stuff that might be failing, we're looking at that wireless system that can link back to the controller, so we don't have to do whole wire replacements.
So when you say that's the solenoid, that is all wireless. So how would that operate? Does it have a battery, or are we not sure?
Great question. So we're in the process of looking at it at the moment and getting them to do some demos with us on it, just to see how it does work. I'd imagine it'd be a battery system.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a great idea because sometimes you might not have access to get your cabling through if you've got a block wall or whatever, and then it's just making sure that I think the signal strength is going to work too, whether you have to have a couple of boosters sort of halfway and something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to come in. That's going to come in and be in our schools, I reckon, for any life cycle cable replacements come up in the future. It's good. It's going to be a growth couple of years, and not necessarily in terms of size, but in terms of quality and what we do and people and how we market. And I've learned lots over the time around just being better at what we do in multiple facets in the business. It's scary when it gets to this size.
It keeps you going.
Well,
on that, mate, thank you so much, Mark, for coming in. Having a chat to you about the business has been awesome, and good to see such a large-scale commercial operation compared to residential. It sounds like you're doing really well and you've got a good team. So thanks for jumping on board and joining us.
No worries, Adam. Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for another episode of The Front Garden, brought to you by Coolabah Turf. We've had Mark from Brocor on board talking to you about his wonderful business. And if you liked it, please feel free to share it on your socials. And we look forward to catching you next time on The Front Garden.